Sight reading is often talked about as a skill that musicians and pianists in particular need to have. For some people, it comes very naturally, and for others, it can be a real struggle. What is important to understand is that sight reading isn't just a single skill. It's made up of a whole subset of skills that, when mastered, can give the appearance of being a single fluent skill. In the previous video, I talked about the importance of being able to take a quick glance at your hands on the keyboard and then bringing your eyes back up to the music so that you don't get lost. In this video, I'm going to talk about another very subtle skill that can often be overlooked, the art of reading both notes and finger numbers together while playing. Now, no one would argue that playing the correct notes is essential, right? But did you also realize that being aware of what finger you are using and following the fingering that the composer or music editor has laid out is just as important? Good fingering will not only allow you to move more fluently over the keys without wasted movements, but it will also give you an almost sixth sense awareness of where you are on the keys. And that's really what builds the foundations of good sight reading. In fact, this is what I teach in my free course, Key Start Foundations 1. If you'd like to get access to that, just put beginner in the comments below and I'll send it to you. Like I said, I teach these and many more skills and techniques to help you learn to play better, more fluently, and just learn faster. So once again, if you want access to that, put beginner below and I'll send it to you. Let's take a look Let's take a look at a couple of the most common situations that arise with beginners when learning to navigate the keyboard, all while reading notes and paying attention to the finger numbers. The first piece we're going to take a look at is from my Key Start Foundations Book 2, The Emperor Waltz by Johann Strauss Jr., otherwise known as the Waltz King. Anyway, let's start by looking at the hand position. Now, in my books, I'm going to have you get used to finding your own hand position by naming the notes. So, if we look right here, it says finger number 2 goes on. Oh, and we're going to look at that first note. Okay, so 2 goes on E, and then we're going to do the same thing down here in the left hand. 4th finger is starting out on G. That's a great way to practice reading your notes, which of course is a hugely important skill, and it's going to allow you to position your own hands on the keyboard. So let's move over to the piano here. Okay, and just like we said, I'm going to position my hands. We're going to have 2 on E in the right and 4 on G in the left. Now, the first thing you might notice, especially if you're someone who has been playing in middle C position or C position, notice the right hand. It's my thumb that now has D. Thumb is not on C. If you've played in this position, you might come to associate 2 with D, and that is not always going to be the case. So, in the right hand, we're actually going to have D, E, F, G, A, and that's the first level of awareness we need to have. But let's start out playing. I'm just going to go through this first line here, starting out with the E, G, F, here we go, E, G, E. Now when you see this D right here, the thing is you need to remember this is now your first finger, right? Because we just talked about where our hand is positioned. So when I play through that same set of notes, I'll go right through what I just played. When I see that D right here, I now have to remember that's my first finger. And if you've been playing kind of stuck in the same position for a long time, that's going to feel like, oh, wow. And it's going to shake you up a little bit. And you might not realize where you are for a second or two. But that's the type of awareness you need to have as to where you are on the keyboard in order to really sight read well. I'm going to go ahead and play through the rest of this piece. I'll start one more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Now Now, fourth finger is playing the G here in measure 6, right? This is your fourth finger. It's not your fifth finger. I'm just going to keep going for the sake of time here. And same thing, F is now your third finger, okay? This might feel weird. Let's move that where you can see. Okay, that's one of the things I concentrate a lot on in my books, is getting you to be aware that you are not always going to be in the same spot, and knowing where your hand is on the keyboard and which finger is actually going to play which note makes a huge difference in how well you can sight read. Now, that isn't the only thing that we need to tackle here. We also have the idea that we move around, right? If you've ever watched anyone who has played or plays at a very advanced level, I should say, that person does not remain in one hand position. They don't just stay here or here or here. They are moving their hands fluidly up and down the keyboard, and that doesn't just happen overnight. So let's take a look at Happy Farmer. This one's by Robert Schumann. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to start by naming our hand position. Fourth finger in the left hand is on G, and first finger in the right hand is on E. Okay, so that's going to put us in a slightly different position yet. Again, if you haven't played outside of some of the very basic positions, that can really throw you off. And it's one of the reasons I get my students moving around very early. I try not to lock anyone into any one position for very long. So let's start by looking at what's happening. I think I'm going to try to zone in here on this first line. So to start with, I have 4 on G in the left. I have 1 on E in the right. So that's going to get me through the first few notes. So G, C, E, G, C. Now, what's going to happen here is I have circled the finger number first of all to indicate a move. And this is something I do in my beginning levels and then drop it out as you become more fluent. But what this is telling us is that first finger is going to move. Now, the whole key to this is, yes, we are reading both the note and the finger number, but you have to know what the note is first. You have to know that this is an F. Otherwise, just playing your first finger isn't going to do any good, right? If I just play my first, that's not the right note. I have to know that one is actually physically going up to F. And what that in effect does is it shifts my entire hand position. So now I'm going to play F, A, C, A, G. Okay, so one more time. I'll shrink this down where you can see the entire thing. So here we come from the beginning. Now I'm looking ahead a little bit. One's going to go up to F, and that adjusts my whole position. Now if we look right here, see how thumb or first finger is going to move over to E. And then as we go to the next line, I'm going to pull this fourth finger down to F. Okay, if I don't read those notes first, and if I don't know which letter my finger is going to, I'm lost. So the trick is to know the letter. You need to recognize that instantly, and then pull the correct finger up or down to that note. And that's what's going to allow you to move smoothly. So, like I said, it's absolutely critical that you not only read the notes and the finger numbers, but you get in the habit of always reading the note first. These are skills that are very subtle, and they are not always taught explicitly. Once you understand them, practice them, and internalize them, your playing will definitely move to the next level. And the best part, of course, is that I've already built these into my free course and book. Just comment beginner below for access. In my next video, I'm going to talk about how rhythm is also connected to sight reading.